What up, my good people? Guess who's back? It is your boys in the SBP. It's another beautiful day. Or should I say, my favorite saying, it's another day to be great. Your boy Prime Source, what is good?
What's going on, Primes? It's that and then some, man. And it's hot. It's hot outside.
Too hot, man. This is hot. Funny, you be slaying with that because I was gonna bring it up later, just real quick, but might as well bring it up now. Have you been watching The Shy?
I have.
So you saw last week's episode, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Did you catch right away how they integrated the do the right thing?
Yeah.
Like from the jump, really, actually, from the jump. It is several scenes throughout last week's episode. I loved every minute of that. My feelings on how The Shy is going is kind of up and down, but that thing right there, I loved every minute of it, man. Thought about when we did our running back on that jump, which was one of my favorite running backs that we did.
Yeah.
That was pretty dope, man.
No doubt. Yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, I feel the same way as you about The Shy in general. But the throwback to Do the Right Thing was dope. And we always appreciated good paying homage to Black history. And yeah, gotta appreciate that.
Yeah, it was dope, man. They, like I say, several scenes, and then from the beginning, from the wasn't a pizza parlor, but they up in the spot and they out there running food and it's hot and you got to do deliveries. You had the fire hydrant scenes going on, but my favorite when they had the three gentlemen with Sweet Willie and all them, well, playing off of them, and your boy was sitting around, the James, their characters and all them was sitting around talking, man. That was genius. The red wall behind them, I loved every minute of that.
Absolutely.
So I was tripping because there are quite a few people that I know so they didn't catch it initially. They didn't catch it until either I made a post about it or somebody said they didn't realize it till later, and I was just like, I caught it immediately.
Like, how did you not?
Yeah,
how did you not catch that?
Yeah, if you didn't catch anything beforehand, at the beginning with the heat and the restaurant and all that, and even the scenes with the fire hydrants and all the other stuff, just that one scene alone with them sitting outside talking and on it with that wall, it was crazy. How could you not catch that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, showing some love to the Spike Lee joint, man. Other than that, what you got going on, man?
Oh man, it's always something, Brian. It's crazy. I think since the last time we did a show, I did my first DJ. I didn't DJ the reception, but I did the wedding. So I really was a sound man for a wedding since the last time we were on, and that was interesting. It was crazy. It's a whole story. Did I tell you the story? I didn't tell you the story.
Yeah.
Or what happened? That's a long story, so I ain't gonna bore the people with that. But just know it was an experience. Everything went cool though. Everything was cool. And yeah, that was wild. Shoot. I feel like I've done a bunch of things. I feel
Yeah.
like I've done a bunch of things recently. We had B Cypher Wednesday. We had Robert Williams on last week. Robert
Word.
Williams Films. If you're on social media, and you are on social media, then you know who Robert Williams is. Black guy, has his family with him, his wife and his two kids. A lot of times, does videos about whatever's going on in the moment. He'll be singing,
Right.
rapping, or whatever. A lot of hip hop involved in it as well. Had him on, and we had a conversation during Beat Cipher Wednesday. This week, I meant to send a text to confirm, but I'm supposed to be Tracy Lee. I don't like to announce stuff before it happens because
Because
things don't happen. Yeah,
right.
but Tracy Lee supposed to be on this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, Beat Cipher Wednesday on TikTok. So that should be fun. And I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna make this trip to Vienna to go to the Roots show tonight. The Roots in
Whew.
Vienna at Wolf Trap. I've never been to Wolf Trap, but
Right.
last time the Roots were here at Wolf Trap, I didn't know until the last second.
Last
And
second.
then I saw people after the show or the next day, like, oh yeah, the Roots were here, blah, 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 posting pictures and videos. And I was mad. I was like, ain't nobody say nothing to me. How y'all ain't gonna tell me? But this
This is
time
how
I
you
know.
do it. You can do this to me.
Yeah, you just do this to 23-hour lockdown. But I know this time, so I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna take that trip. It's a chance of rain, so that's not helping matters. But
Oh man.
I wish it was a little earlier. I do wish it was a little earlier. I wish it was like 6 o'clock instead
Right.
of opening at 6:30, but it's at 8. Do I want to do it? Do I want to do it? We outside this summer. We outside this summer, so I should do it. We just were in Fredericksburg yesterday for my young cousin Don's birthday. Happy birthday to Don. So we went up there. They mainly did a bar crawl and all that, and we went to a couple restaurants and had a good time. So there's that. Yeah, we outside all summer. Trust me, I'm posting videos, of everything. Oh, and I had I forget the Wu Tang joint I did on Friday evening. Um,
How they go?
also, did we? I don't even know if I talked about Source Summer Series. I'm sure I mentioned it, or it's in the group. Source Summer Series, me outside at Laurel Barbershop on the deck, DJing with different themes for each appearance. The first one was Biggie, Jay Z, or Nas. We had music, conversation. We had a couple games. That was fun a couple weeks ago. This week was Wu Tang Clan, music, discussion. I dropped some Wu Tang facts and all that. Then we did a Kahoot competition, so it was a trivia contest, and I had 10 questions. The people answered the questions, blah blah blah, did all that, and we had a good time. It was a good time. Got to get some more people to pull up though. Got to get some more people to pull up. Um, but yeah, all in all, it was fun. The next one will be July 11th, 7-Eleven. So y'all get your Slurpee. Are they still free at 7-Eleven? Probably not. The way this world is,
Need to find out.
y'all grab y'all Slurpees and then pull up to uh, Source Summer Series Part 3. And later this week, I will announce who the artists are that will be discussed and appreciated.
So everything went well Friday though.
Yeah, the weather was crazy,
Yeah.
and it was drizzling right before we started. So I feel like that kind of affected the couple people that would have pulled up more than the few that were there.
Yeah,
But
I was trying my best to get at you. Things weren't going right at work. Then daggone, I don't know. I think we had this conversation before. I don't know if you ever had it, but daggone, like sciatic nerve stopped messing with me a little bit. And bro,
mhm,
I was just like, why? Like this ain't happened in a while. Like why? I was suffering. I said, maybe it won't meant for me to go down.
yeah,
But I wanted to
it's
come down.
it's all good. We're going all summer, so it'll at least be
Word,
two, 3 more at the least. So
word, word. No doubt. Hey, I don't know if you saw this, so I wasn't even going to talk because I mean the finals is over. Unless you had some real feelings on it. But just as we tapped in, so your boy Braun just opted in for 52 mil going into next season, man. So that's gonna be the news of the day, I guess. You got any feelings on
yeah,
that?
no, I mean as expected. There's no big surprise. Like we just saw a
Yeah,
video of Brian working out. Although he's gonna work out, he probably gonna work out after he retires as well. But we just saw a video of Brian working out. Uh, I'm sorry, Brian. On my screen right now is a response. I had the video that was going crazy, right? It's still going.
yeah, right.
Dog. I had a comment on the joint, and I just responded to it because I didn't know the name. This was a couple days ago, and then last night I was I think I put it in my story that what their response was, and I put a song with it. And this person messaged me. It was like, "Yo, that's the exact song I was talking about." And then I looked at the page. I was like, "Is that Uncle Marvin from Canaan?" It is. It is.
That's my guy.
It was because he just liked my comment back to him, and it popped up on the screen while I was while I was talking. I was like, yeah, I forgot. That was crazy. How I feel like I have missed people that were in the comments and I just didn't pay any attention. But I didn't know his name was London Brown. I
London
would have
Brown.
I would have never guessed his name was London Brown. Never.
Yeah, come on. I thought you were
Come
gonna
on.
say he hit you with the video response. I said, I was gonna say, was he eating something?
Ooh, you-
Yeah, hot dogs, chips, something.
bro, stay eating. He stay eating. He trying to make up for a childhood junk.
I love
Mom's.
how they say with him eating wasn't really part of the script initially. It's
He
just
just
something
he,
that went down and it did, and then it just stuck. So you know what I'm saying?
those are the best things,
It
man.
just hit.
People just come up with stuff or it gets added in and it's just extra, but we notice it. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's always
Shout
dope.
out to London, man. Shout out to London, man. But yeah, man. I didn't really have any real thoughts on NBA itself. To be honest with you, initially I said we're gonna talk NBA, but it's come and gone.
Yeah,
OKC won it. I think that they did it in a fashion. Well, took a lot longer than some people thought.
me.
We had a lot of 5-1s and 4-2, going down, and I kind of hate the way that it went down because I didn't want that narrative to be what if Hallie would have played, and
Right.
I didn't, I didn't want it to come down to that, at all. The series was already. You had people talking about, as you mentioned, about the markets who going to watch. It's a very entertaining series, a very entertaining series, and that made Indiana showed you basically they were no joke. OKC, they went out there and challenged the big dogs. Everybody, a lot of people thought was going to be the runaway winner of the series. Then OKC displayed some greatness when they had to display it. So it actually was a good series, no matter how many people watched it. I just hate the way that it
Right.
went down.
Yeah. It would.
And no,
I
I'm not
wish.
convinced either that Indiana would have won it either. I'm not 100% convinced either if Hallie would have played. So let's not even go there, people. So,
Right. Nah. I can't say that. It was in the first quarter, right? So
mm-hmm.
can't say that at all. Especially being game seven in OKC. So
Mm-hmm.
but what happened. We can't change that. That's what happened. And we wish Tyrese the best,
Yeah.
full recovery and all that, and speedy recovery, 100% recovery. But OKC is the champs, man. Shea Gilgis and the crew. Sorry,
Yeah.
SBA and crew. Um, Salute them. They did it. They got it done. Best team in the league from well, in the West anyway, from the beginning to the end for the most part. And yeah, I mean, people were talking Boston, OKC early on,
Yep.
you know, and then Boston fell off. So OKC did what they had to do, and they got the ring.
Yeah. It's what's sad about all of this though is the fact that we're losing probably 3 stars probably for just about all of the season next year.
Yeah,
Definitely one. I mean, we know Dame went down early,
right.
and so don't tell him when he'll get back. But we most likely won't see Jason Tatum next year. Um, you know, and then of course Halliburton, you can pretty much you're not gonna see Halliburton. Like this happened, this thing goes down, his injury goes down right at the end of the season,
Yep.
basically. And we're talking about that, that year time frame. And I think with him, what really hurts is the expectation because teams always think we were this close and we were here and that you're automatically gonna make it back.
Right.
I can tell you a lot of teams, especially even being a Knicks fan, we can go back to the 90s, that there were times when people thought, well, I'm going to make it back, or I'm going to make it to the next round, and you never get back there. There is no guarantee. We don't know what Dame's future is. We don't know Boston because we've seen Boston make these moves all of a sudden, right?
Hmm.
Boston, which we already questioned what the team was going to look like anyway. They've already gotten rid of Porzingis. He's up out of there. Your boy Drew Holiday is gone. There is
Hmm.
now talk that they're listening to offers for Jaylen Brown and Devin White. So I don't think both of them would go if it were to happen. But I'm just saying, like, that team is going to be totally different. Now, I'm not one of the mind to think that they're not going to somehow be in the playoff mix, because if you'd have told me a couple of years ago that they would be able to fill the roster that they had with the salaries that those players would want to command, I would tell you that was never going to happen. Now, I don't know who would be out there, what kind of move you can make, at that point. So, Lord, just don't let I don't want Giannis nowhere near Boston. So let's just leave him out of that mix. But it's just we're looking at a season going into next year before we even get started with three of the NBA's brightest stars may not even touch the court.
Right.
It's crazy.
Still be competitive basketball. Yeah. Best wishes for them. We'll still see competitive basketball, and we'll still complain about people shooting too many threes and
new coach won't good. Should have kept the old coach.
Kept the old coach. Somebody gonna get fired that ain't been a year in. It'll be the same thing. And same people will still complain about whatever they're gonna complain about. So
true indeed. That's true indeed. Enough about the men though. Let's talk about these women.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these. Let's talk about these women. And of course, the biggest thing going on in WNBA right now, of course, it's always been the biggest thing, at least for the past year. It's been Caitlin Clark, right? We just come back from, a previous injury, a few games missed. What did she miss? The 5 games on the left quad, right? Left quad injury. Went down and with the groin injury this time. And it's funny at the timing of all of this happening, because in a social media post, and a lot of people were wondering what's going on with Caitlin Clark, right? I'm not 100% on everything that's going wrong with Caitlin Clark is because of that groin. Right. But of course, her diehard fan base will tell you that's all it is. Well, mostly what it is. I knew that was the reason. And me personally, from watching her play, I don't think that's all of it, but I think it's a combination of things. But I'm interested, to hear about what you think the reasoning is or what's going on with her.
I know she having an issue. There's so many issues going on right now for the fever for Caitlin Clark. Shockingly, to most, the fever are not above 500. They're actually at 500 right now. Which I was going to mention that I think it's 5 teams. It's six teams above 500. Only 6 teams above 500, and neither the Aces nor the Fever are included in that number, which is wild in itself. But as far as Clark, clearly there was an issue. There's some sort of issue internally with the squad, or with some communication between them and DeWanna, because she's out of there suddenly, shockingly, surprisingly. The people told her not to go in the first place, but she led the charge, and there she went. We'll see how it turns out. As we've seen, they talking crazy about DeWanna as if she's not a 16-year veteran of the league, champion, all-star, all that good stuff. And the people are talking crazy. So there may be something to that. I don't know if that's involving Caitlin or not. It could be the treatment of play. I'm not really speculating on what that is, but I'm thinking Clark has to be involved somehow. Or why would Bonner leave the organization? So
yeah, I think that's something we're probably going to find out later about it. But Caitlin, man, put this way, I did a post, just like a billion other people that do social media did a post, and I put a post of this: what's wrong with Caitlin Clark? Quick, short, just a few seconds. I don't even know if it might have been a minute long, it might not. And it said over maybe close to 2,400 views right now. But the thing was, if I go back to the comments, right, what do you think 99.9% of the comments said about the reason she was struggling? Keep in mind, this was before the injury.
Why was she struggling?
Yeah, what's going on with her? Because remember, she's on a 3-game stretch where she's 13 or 47 from the field, She's 1 for 23 from 3-point land, and
Oh,
22 turnovers in that stretch. And I think when I
they
made the
figured.
post, it was only 2 games in. So now we've added to that. What do you think the responses were on our YouTube, and what the reason why?
Are we talking about people that like her, people that don't like her, or just whatever?
People that like her.
People that like her are blaming everything but her. I would assume they're blaming everything but her. It's too many other people shooting the ball. Uh, it's too much other stuff going on, and Caitlyn is not able to play her game because she's trying to get the other people involved, so she's not able to just do what she wants to do, which would be better for the team. I'm sure there are a million reasons for the Caitlin Clark lovers to use against or for her benefit.
So I'm just gonna read you a couple of these. Let's
Okay.
just do that. She's had the S kicked out of her, destroying the league's only real chance, while the league admins sit back idly, never realizing it's their job to lose as well. Okay. Um,
Huh?
yep. So they pretty much saying this person is pretty much saying that she's having, like, nobody else is getting knocked to the floor. No, nobody else is getting hit. The league just letting everybody beat up on her, and they're not realizing the fact that that's their cash cow. They got to run to the money, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, she's struggling because Cece is tired of the refs not backing her up when the other team attacks her. Um, let's see. Now somebody was positive. Caitlin is key to keep shooting. She'll be her usual self soon. Have another one. The refs BS is getting to her, and it's sad that the league is biased and racist against her. Watch
That's
this.
crazy. It's so
Yeah, they
crazy.
biased against her, against the moneymaker. Okay. Um, this is somebody evidently who's abroad, because he puts, if I was Clark, I would leave and come to Europe. Your league over the pond. Your league is over. Come on. Your league on that side of the pond is a disgrace on so many levels. Another one, probably tired of getting mugged. But keep in mind, those were the first 5, 6 comments that I got initially when I put it up.
Mm-hmm.
So everything, the only reason that she is struggling, they're saying, is because she's getting beat up. The league just letting her get this done any type of way. Yeah, they stay strong with that too. So,
Meanwhile, just to combat that, I guess. Meanwhile, if you saw the stats of Kelsey Plum, Arike Gumbawale, like it's multiple players that are actually shooting bad right now or in their last couple games. Kelsey Plum said, "We tired." That was her response, which points to the recklessness of the schedule.
mm-hmm.
I have never seen one. It is a rare occasion you see a team play back to back games, like this 2 days in a row.
Yep.
You don't even see teams play like they might play, get a 1 day off, but most of the time it's 2 days off, 3 days off, 4 days off. They got back to back. I saw back to back games for multiple teams in a row. Like I think it was a Washington or Phoenix played,
Yep.
then they played the next day, and whoever they played that second day had a back to back and played the next. I'm like, where the other
Wings
teams
just
at?
did it. The Wings just did it. Yep.
It's out of control. It is out of control. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like the schedule makers, which has nothing to do with Caitlin Clark specifically, but the schedule makers just out here doing whatever. They just doing whatever.
Yeah, that's the issue. A couple of WNBA players, I can't remember right offhand, but in the past couple of weeks have pointed to that and made that. And of course, I feel bad for them in that aspect, because it comes more hatred with haters of the league, or
What?
haters of just about everybody else except for one. This whoever, because they're saying that, but y'all want to get paid like the men.
Exactly.
Y'all want that
Exactly. Which
money.
is
Y'all need it. And I'm like, come on.
that's that's ridiculous. But that's coming from people that want to say something like they're going in wanting to say something negative. So
Yep.
they're like, "Oh, you
All the
say,
time.
well, you want to be like the men, well, play like the men." Come on, bro. Like, also, if this is going to be a thing, cool. But this would be the very beginning of that thing. If this is going to be a thing, so in the future, if there's back-to-back games on a regular basis, cool. It would be the first. This is the first time they've done it. This is the first time the league has done this. So, but
At a
again, people.
time period when it has been mentioned by Engelbert and a couple of other people that within the next 2 years, there is a very real possibility of a 50-game season. So
Mm,
yeah, so it's a lot, man. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
so
Like,
the NBA is considering, at least this being thrown around, shortening the season. The WNBA is increasing the season, which is cool. Like,
yeah,
we want them to play more games. More
it's
games
definitely
equals
right.
more money, and but we ain't trying to shoot up to 10 more games, you know,
No,
that quickly, because that is not. I mean, that's crazy. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Very interesting. I read this last one. I'm gonna read you this last one. I think you are right. Honestly, I guess it was talking about my comments in the video, but it says, "I believe all the flagrant fouls and hatred towards her is wearing her down." So yeah, that's strong contention out there.
I actually made a video about Sophie Cunningham and the situation that happened, what, 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. I
Mm-hmm.
made a video about
Yeah,
that. That joint went crazy because I wasn't talking crazy about Sophie Cunningham. I was just talking about what happened. Man, I'm like, dog, y'all, why y'all talking about, like, I get Caitlin Clark is the reason it happened, but then y'all are making it OD. Then you're throwing in, well, Angel Reese. But what does Angel Reese have to do with this situation? This is three white ladies beefing. This is three white ladies
yeah,
beefing. What? Or four, if you want to throw in JC and Marina. It's
yeah.
four. What does Angel Reese have to do with any of this?
Nothing.
Nothing.
And I remember a comment. I remember a comment on one of the skirmishes. I'm trying to think of what happened when somebody was getting somebody's face. But I remember reading the comments, not that particular incident, where they was like, um, pretty much that's black behavior. That's how they act. And then behind it, CC the GOAT. And I'm like, where was that person when this happened? Right? Where was this person when this incident went down?
I saw a dude in the comments of this video. He's like, uh,
Mhm.
well, what about Dejanay Carrington when she pulled Sarah Ann
Yeah,
Barker's hair?
yeah,
I was like, he didn't say all that. He was talking about Carrington. He said the other day, but it was right
yeah.
after the incident with
With the
who
Angel
was
Reese
it?
one.
With Angel.
You thought Angel got her hair
Right.
pulled.
So I thought he was talking about that, but it wasn't that. And
Mhm.
so he was like, racism. I was like, what? What? Well, if why don't they talk about it like the black girl? It like it's racist. It's okay for white girls to get their hair pulled, is what he was saying. Why is it okay
Right.
for? I'm like, what are you trying to
Big-
get to? Like, your point is stupid. Your point is stupid. You don't even have a point. You're just saying stuff just to say stuff, and it's a lot of that, which is, I
It's
guess,
it's
it's got to be that for the league to grow. But God,
it's
stupid.
horrible, man. It's horrible. But far as Caitlin, man, I made the cut. So after I made, well, she had those two bad games. Even before I made the video, I was like, well, y'all know she's coming back to hit y'all with 40 next game, which
Right.
didn't happen because she had a horrible game in the third game.
Yeah, she did.
Um,
And they say, you know what? She's hurt. I don't care what none of y'all say.
Now, I'm going to be fair about this. I'm going to be honest with before, well, there's the two games before she hit that rough spot. I was questioning a couple of things about her, like physically,
Uh-huh.
the way she was looking on the court. Even when the game when she went off, if you look at her, because sometimes she wasn't grabbing her leg. I saw her grab, holding her stomach once or twice. And there was something one time she was walking off the court, and I remember Steph was asked, "Are you okay?" Whatever, and she was like, "I'm fine." And I thought that she might have been a little beat up, or some things might have happened. This is way before she fell into this ditch that she's in now. Still not 100% convinced that that's why she's not playing well. See, it's the difference between going 1 for 23, you know what I'm saying? Going 1 from 23 and maybe being, I don't know, 8 for 23. You see what I'm saying? There's a difference. There's a difference between your field goal percentage being, being here and then dropping down to here. Is just certain things. I think it's a combination of both. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I do think there's some physical stuff going on. I'm not above the fact that, just like that one comment I made on my video, that is probably, it might be some of the mental stuff is starting to set in. And I think some of the stuff is not her fault, but then I think some of the things she might have brought on herself too. So they mix, And then I think if you add in the fact that you remember when they had the game against Golden State, the Valkyries. Shout out to the Valkyries, matter of fact. Shout out to them. The coach said that when we studied her and the way we shut her down, the way we went out there, because we recognize her habits. You know what I'm saying? She loves that left, to go left and do that left step back. So we want to guard her. So that way, when she's going, when we guard her and she's going to that left and she's trying to go the other direction, a lot of times we're going to have help. Or we're gonna make her uncomfortable. A lot of teams have tried to do it. They haven't been successful. They were successful the other night, and she hasn't been all that great since then. I think it's a combination of a lot, right? Sometimes even the best players, they go into slumps. I will give you that. But sometimes it's a combination of a bunch of things. I don't think the injury is the only reason she's struggling.
Right. That's fair.
And I'm not saying that 40-point game ain't coming either. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you. But what has been enlightening for the Indiana Fever is the play of Leah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell.
Yeah.
Who have been absolute fire in losses and wins. They just won here recently. But we had Leah Boston the past 2 games, 31 points, and then came back strong with a 21-point effort. Kelsey Mitchell with a 26-point game and then a 32-point effort in the victory. So that is a bright spot for them. And if teams are going to start playing Caitlin Clark the way that, and have success the way that the Golden State coach was talking about, then they're going to need to be that good. And maybe we see, Caitlin, what is she averaging? Almost 9 assists a game. So maybe this thing creeps to 11 assists a game. I don't know. I think they could still be great. Caitlin didn't have to be out there being a 32-point scorer every night. But I think she's going to have to realize that too. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because Leah Boston been fire all season.
Yeah. Leah Boston been killing on the block, man. Both hands, ambidextrous with it. Well, not a lot of people are in the WNBA, but ambidextrous with it.
You notice her growth? Have you seen the growth in her over the past year or two? She's different.
I don't know.
You talk about taking steps. We see, not that she's been horrible since been, she hasn't. She's been good. But when we're talking about steps, it seems like to me each season it's like there's been a step. Now I know she's a little bit lighter again this year. She's lost a little more weight.
Yeah.
And she seems to, she's still trying to play physical, and she still has things she's working on. But to me, watching her progression, she looks like a player that each year has stepped up just a little bit. She looks a lot different to me this year.
That's fair. But yeah, she getting to it, and Kelsey Mitchell doing her thing. I think she's more comfortable this year than last year, because she had the ball in her hands a lot the years before.
Mm-hmm.
And with Caitlin as her teammate, the ball's gonna be in Caitlin's hands one way or the other. So Kelsey Mitchell kind of had to get more acclimated to playing without the ball, and we there. It looked like we there.
Yeah. Stephanie just got to reel it in and figure out what works for the team. With everything that they're going through, winning games, losing, blowing some leads though. They've blown some leads in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
They almost choked it up the other night. But and then I know Stephanie's got some personal things going on too. So there's just a lot going on with that team. And of course, you did mention DeWanna Bonner. I'm not gonna speculate either. I don't know, but this is another situation where I feel like it could be a combination of a lot of things. Um, you know, yeah, I saw somebody talking the other day, and I was about to get in the conversation, but I stay out of a lot of conversations these days, even if it's not about Kaylor Clark. And they were talking about her leaving the team, and shouldn't she have known what she was in for? Why was she signed with them, knowing everything that's going on over there, or players have said is going on over there, right?
Right.
I don't know right now if it does have anything to do with Caitlin Clark. I don't know if it has anything to do with the fans. I just don't know. To me, the only interesting thing is, she's used to Stephanie White. They were together a few seasons there. She even suggested to Stephanie White last year that she would be willing to assume the role was best for the team when they were with the son, even if it meant coming off the bench as a six person right off the bench.
Right.
And now we get to this situation here, and she ends up not in the starting lineup. You know what I'm saying? And you would think that maybe that holds this, that maybe she would feel the same way that that she felt when they were back in Connecticut. But I don't know if that's the case. I don't know what's happening. But it's just very interesting that all of this happens. She takes a leave, personal leave of absence, and all that. And I was hearing things I got a buddy of mine, guy I used to go to VCU with, and we chat every now and then. And he's a WNBA fan. And we talk, and he had told me that he said, man, I went to a Fever game. He's like, he got lucky and got some tickets off a coworker who couldn't go to a game, went to a Fever game. And the first thing he noticed during this stretch was inside the arena, there was nothing about Bonner in the arena. Way before the release stuff and all that stuff came out. This was during the personal, right? Then I went and watched one of my favorite basketball content creators. She brought it up on one of her reels. She said that one of her she calls everybody, us, I guess, because I follow her Hoops Tribe, and she does a video saying the exact same thing. Matter of fact, if any WNBA fans out there, if you love hoops, if for somebody to follow, I'm gonna give you one follow, Cassie Chantel. She's dope. Cassie Chantel is dope, and she brings it up in one of her reels. I said, "Dang, the homie just told me this about a week ago." And I knew he was telling the truth because he took pictures of being at the arena, but he brought this up a week before any of this even happened, went down. And then she brings it up the exact same day that she gets released. She does the video that day. So it's crazy. Crazy situation.
We're gonna see about DeWanna. I mean, looks like she got to go to Phoenix. That's pretty much what's been laid out there. So
yeah, I wonder how much truth is it to the room. So the two teams were definitely Phoenix. The other one I saw was Atlanta. And the Atlanta thing would be interesting because instead of them having to do a trade at this point, she's already cleared the waivers. I believe it's only 48 hours. It's 2 days, right? She's already cleared that. So I guess they worked out the settlement or whatever of how much they were going to pay her and then waive her, which means I'm not acting like I'm crazy on the books, but if I'm correct, the way this works is she should be able to sign with another team, and a team can get her at the league minimum. The league minimum is around $52,000, I believe, right? So she could sign somewhere. Now, of course, teams don't have any money. So if she ends up in Phoenix, it'll be interesting to see what move they make to get that money. The Atlanta thing was interesting to me at first because I'm like, okay, I would like her in Atlanta too. I like the way Atlanta's built. But what would you have to give up? But now Atlanta don't have to trade anybody.
You got to give up nothing,
right? Yeah, and you talking about some real vets down there that can get with it. You know what I'm saying? Brianna down there, and down in the post, Brianna Jones is down there balling. Like I think that would be a solid move. I'm sure it's probably not gonna happen, but I think even her in Atlanta, because Atlanta's crazy.
Yeah, Atlanta's something.
Atlanta out here beating people, and even when they're not beating people, they right there.
Yeah, they got
so
some dogs down there.
But yeah, that Mercury thing would be crazy too. That lineup, man. I mean, that lineup would be crazy. Coming off
Yeah,
the bench and not. I mean, that whole joint would be crazy.
I need her to go ahead and make a decision. Let's get to it. I want to see what's going to happen.
No doubt, no doubt. Hey, what I want to ask you about real quick, we got a couple more lady topics. We're gonna get into some music today. One, we were just talking about, of course, Caitlin Clark, and we were robbed the other night, of course, because her matchup. She had a matchup that was set to take place with Paige Bueckers a couple of nights ago, and that didn't go down, bro. That didn't go down because, of course, the injury to Caitlin Clark. So we were robbed of that. We're going to have to wait a couple of weeks. I believe July 13th would be the next chance we would have to see them play each other. Shout out to Paige Bueckers in that game. She got busy regardless. I think was she like 27. She got busy out here doing her thing. What have you noticed about her since, from the beginning of the season till now? Any difference? Anything you're impressed?
I don't know if I can be impressed with Paige because she do everything I expect her to do. I already know what it is. She's going to fit into a team without issue and get her buckets where she can get her buckets. She's gonna do everything. She's gonna play defense. She's gonna handle the rock. She's gonna dish the rock. She'll get you a couple boards, and she's gonna get her buckets. Like I think she has she's the only rookie with a 30-point game thus far.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's got the most 20-point games. I think she's got as many 20-point games as the other rookies combined. Only thing they don't do is win, and that's not new. And that's not new because Dallas has not won in a minute. Although they won last night.
They won last night without her.
Yeah.
What's crazy, Caitlin didn't win the other night without Caitlin in a game that they almost blew for a minute. They made a comeback. And of course, last night we don't get Paige Bueckers against Washington, and they won.
So. Right. Yeah. They won against Washington last night. They was up 35-13 at one point. Yeah, they went crazy. Or Washington didn't do a thing. I don't know what was happening exactly, and that was without Paige. I even saw someone say they played better without Paige.
Which is just I saw that too.
Dumb. That's just a dumb statement. To me, that's a dumb statement. Especially 16 or however many games into the season of the rookie, I should say, talking about they play better and they come out for winning 9 games last season or whatever it was. Nah, man, we ain't doing that.
They dang, the news keep coming. I'll come back to that. Man, if nothing else, because I saw some of the same comments that you saw. I saw a comment, man, I'm a Dallas fan, and we play better without Paige. Should they win with Paige on the court? They run everything through Paige Bueckers, and then everybody else suffers, and I get blah blah blah. We saw that tonight. And I'm sitting there like, bro, okay, ain't nobody running nothing through. If you're a fan, I'm watching the games too. Everything is not really being run through Paige. I said, even when she has the ball in her hands, if you know anything about Paige Bueckers, yeah, she can score that thing. But Paige is always looking to dish the rock. First, she very willingly will dish that rock. And on the opposite end of she's gonna give you that defensive effort. Paige can defend for the most part. She's gonna be there. It's not just about watching her go out there and try to put up 25.
Right.
But if the opportunity presents itself, I'm gonna take it. And this is the thing too. You say that on a team that has Enrique on it, right? Enrique don't care. Enrique can go into the fourth quarter 3 for 26. She gonna keep gunning. We're gonna keep gunning that thing. So, and they make sure that she gets her hand on the basketball from everybody else. So I don't agree with that assessment about they playing better. They gonna play better without it because y'all won last night and y'all did all that. There's no scenario you can give me to believe they playing any type of basketball that's better than that's better without her on the court than it is when she's on it. Yeah. It's crazy work, man. That's an impressive number right there, though. Fastest player to reach 200 points and 50 assists in WNBA history.
Outrageous.
Yeah, they ain't
Outrageous.
celebrating that right now though. But you know, look, it's mighty quiet when this is up here. But if that joint was somebody else was sitting at the top of this thing, that's right. Yeah, that's it. Y'all see it. Right.
Yeah.
But y'all don't want to give another player for a lot of reasons the props, especially all you just a couple of months ago, even though they won the national championship, was talking that, man, that's how great she was. I don't see it. I mean, I don't see it. That's I remember those posts too.
Yeah.
Shout
But
out to her.
half the people aren't basketball. They weren't basketball fans beforehand. They were not. They came in on another reason for another reason, and it just happened to be basketball is the primary thing that the other person does. So it is what it is.
The one thing they are highlighting, those people are highlighting over the past couple of days because of what was said in it. Paige, being the Paige that we know and love, she did make a comment about Caitlin Clark. Was talking about how Caitlin Clark was great, and she brings folks to games who begin to once they get to the games, they begin to like and take an interest in other basketball players.
Right.
Okay. Respect.
Yep.
And quick shout out to the best player in the WNBA for becoming the fastest player to reach 5,000 points. Yeah, I said the best player. You don't like it, you can get off of this live here, but I said it. No disrespect to anybody else, though. I'm gonna state the fact. And she got some hype sneakers. But give her that. And then lastly, because it's our show, we can do this. I don't care if you do it on your show or not. We're gonna show Angela Reese some love because I don't want to hear nothing about the rebounds, which y'all paying her now for saying that, and these shooting percentages and all that. But we talked about these stretches of 3 games, this good or bad for players. She's been on a heck of a stretch, a heck of a run, bro. And granted, I'm watching one of these games, and I'm at the beginning. It was the other night, and I think she started out. She was like 2 for 8 or something, and then caught fire in the second half. Some of the buckets she made were crazy. You know, made you look like she really had some moves down in the post. I said, look at the girl, look at the queen out there doing her thing, man. But I got to shout out Angel Reese. I don't care, man. Angel Reese putting up numbers, man.
No doubt. She balling the same way she was balling last year. And she's more in control of the rock. She's more ball dominant than we've seen her before. And she's been getting that opportunity, and that gives Ariel and whoever else, Haley, coming off the bench, a chance to spot up. I think Haley even said it, that she didn't have to have the ball in her hand all the time, and she gets to spot up or go to the wing or whatever. She don't have to necessarily create a shot in order to get a shot. With Angel taking some of the ball handling duties.
Yeah, if everybody wants to fire Tyler Marsh, they need to fire the whole organization for real.
Yeah. Fire everybody.
Yeah, everybody got to go. Like this, the Chicago Sky, as I stated way before we even got the WNBA season, it's got to be top 3 in the worst run organization right now of all professional sports. They are terrible. And don't take my word for it. You can go back and see some of the former players to see it. You know what I'm saying? Clear Copper, like tons of them, the things they said, from everything from the way they communicate with them upstairs to the facilities, like everything, the way they have to try, like it's crazy. And the way they handle the off season should tell you enough.
Right.
You know, but the one thing that might have come out of Tyler Marsh, a good thing that's come out of Tyler Marsh, and I'm not saying that he needs to be fired because I don't know if the situation he put into me was impossible. He chose to leave. Like, he left a perfectly good organization, but I can't fault anybody from, going to step out and become a head coach and do your own thing. But what I'm saying is, the one thing he did say at the beginning of the season is he did foresee Angel Reese having the ball in her hands more. He didn't say she was going to be a scorer. He didn't come out and tell you she was going to be a 20-point per game scorer, but he said the things that they could accomplish with Angel Reese with the basketball in her hands. And if you've been watching instead of hating, you'll notice, as I've mentioned on this show several times, she's a darn good passer. And that comes from her time, from a lot of that probably from really being a wing when she was being recruited out of high school. She was never really, an elite scorer, even though she could put up some numbers. But, her passing game is pretty darn good. She can pass. I've watched her get Camilla the ball down in the public. How'd she get that ball in there?
Yeah.
But now adding that to her game, and you're going out, even though she hasn't had but she's had that triple double. But there's plenty of games you'll go back and look, it's like right there in the middle. She had the 18 points and 17 boards, but she's just out 6 assists.
Mm-hmm.
And it's her looks and giving people opportunities have been crazy. Caesar made a comment the other day in the group about is Angel Reese. In so many words, is everything she's doing is it hurting Cardoso? I said no. I said any problems when she has issues. And I talked to you about this before. Would be more on Cardoso. I said if anything else, Angel has been a huge help. I said because she's getting her to rock under the in certain positions and throwing up that same game. Cardoso ended up with 27.
Yeah, right before she go to Brazil.
Yeah, 27 points and show what she could be. But yeah, I'm showing love to Angel Reese, man. I don't care who else, but I am.
No doubt.
And that includes in the days game. I don't care if she go 1 for 10. I'm showing her love. So crazy stuff. You seen the lineup for the day? Well, I don't know if you're gonna see it.
No.
Real quick, man. We're gonna jump to this music. Oh, we good. We got about it. So, it's a crazy lineup for the day. I had it right here on my phone. But if you are a WNBA fan, bro, this joint is crazy. They got where is it? It's in here somewhere. It's like you got Liberty and Dream today. That's gonna be tough, especially with the way the Liberty's reeling right now. The loss of John Quell, and then now Sabrina's hurt. Sabrina got it dealing with a neck issue, so there's some things here. Aces and Mercury, a good matchup between struggling teams. These are always the good ones. Sky and the Sparks, Sun and the Lynx. But then you have the Storm and the Valkyries. Crazy slate today.
That's a good one. That's two. That's
crazy
2 of
slate,
6
especially.
teams.
Yeah, crazy slate today, man, and especially since it was only 1 game period yesterday.
Right.
So I was kind of shocked. I thought we would get like 2, maybe 3. It was 1 game all yesterday.
Yeah, Storm and the Valkyries, 2 of the 6 teams that are above 500 at this point. And shout out to the Valkyries for being the newest team on the block, but out here with the attendance, with 8 wins, like they doing it, and no superstar.
Yeah. Hey, slide this in real quick. It's not a whole lot of conversation, but a dude I was hoping to try to get in on in this offseason in New York. They said the Pistons, Malik Beasley, is under investigation by U.S. District Attorney's Office for gambling allegations.
Malik.
Come on, Malik.
Come on, Malik. What are we doing?
That's crazy.
What are we doing?
You saw how crazy he was from the 3 in the playoffs, Malik. Man.
Hate to see it.
And I saw something too I can't find. I believe the VA's own 2 up, 2 down. Something going on with your boy Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't know if he opted in or opted out. What up, Caesar? Caesar here laughing. But yeah, so check your news on Dorian Finney-Smith. That just came up. I don't think he in no trouble like Malik. That's crazy.
I hope not.
Yeah, so now I think it's more or less about him opting as far as his money. I do know I saw something last night when they were talking about he was drawing considerable interest from a lot of teams in the league.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So shout out to the kid.
Yeah.
But all right, so what else we got going on? But let's talk. Unless you got some more sports, let's talk some music, man.
Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing.
We're gonna talk some music, man. Um we got about 45, 50 minutes. We can time to start in some music. Not that this is gonna be the last time we talk about music, because we always gonna talk about music. But we haven't been on in a couple of weeks. And today would be the next to the last day of the month, but the last Sunday, of course, of Black Music Month,
Yo.
which we've been celebrating here on this show. We had it going down for a couple of weeks. So here we are, man. Here we are. So we're gonna talk about you know some Black music, probably mostly hip hop, but we can talk about whatever. It really don't matter. And there's a lot of stuff we can talk about, man. So we ain't gonna get into everything today, of course.
Okay.
Because as far as I'm concerned, every month Black Music Month. So
Facts.
every day is Black Music Day. Not that I don't like none of the white stuff either, but so y'all know. Shout out to Harley Notes. But yeah, it is what it is. uh, Shout out to Maroon 5 too. That's them my people. But yeah, so we could jump a lot of places, man. But I guess what we really on today would just kind of be just favorites, feelings on certain things. We can go back in time because Black music, Black music been around for a minute. Hip hop been around for a minute. Um, so I thought it would be fun once we got into this thing, man, to start off with a couple of topics, man. The first one is, where we start? All right, let's just do this. If we had to pick, let's do this. If you had to pick uh albums, three albums, and we're gonna start, we do a decade thing. So we're gonna do the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. Right. I didn't really know where to go with this because it's one of those situations is whereas you get to picking and you feel good about what you pick. And then a little bit later you want to take something else off the list. And then you want to take something else off the list, and then your whole three is different and all that. So I don't know, man. But I kind of try to look at it as the albums that either they're my favorite or I find myself going back to the most. And that's the way I look at it from my end, right? So when I got to the 80s, for me, when I was picking three albums, we talked about, you probably know what mine were going to be off top if you really think about it. We talked about these albums recently and then over time. So the easy thing for me probably would have been, from hip hop, would have been Criminal Minded, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick, and Yo Bum Rush the Show, right? Those are probably the three albums that I listen to the most from 80s hip hop more than anything. I go back to. It's hard leaving a couple of these off of there. And yes, I said Yo Bum Rush the Show, as I mentioned, it takes a nation of millions, which just celebrated 37 years yesterday. Shout out to Flav, the Rhyme Animal, Chuck D, and the whole crew. But I find myself going to Yo Bum Rush the Show more than I jump into It Takes a Nation of Million, which is a brilliant album. That's just me. I'm not saying it's better. I just listen to it, right? But being that those were the ones that were pretty obvious, if you listen to this show and you know me, I just threw a couple of more out there. If I were to try to replace them, one of them would be King of Rock by Run DMC. And I know a lot of people be like, no, Raising Hell. Raising Hell, even Chuck D said it, one of the LL said it. They feel like it's one of the greatest albums ever made, and I totally agree. But I find myself listening to King of Rock just as much, if not more, than I do Raising Hell. And then the other one, of course, we just talked about that I'll throw in there. We just talked about this, I think, last show. We were talking about an artist, would be Unfinished Business by EPMD.
Tough.
Yeah, so I feel, well, I'm going to let you pick yours. I'm going to tell you, it's one I feel bad about leaving off, but I don't want to say it in case it might be one of yours first.
Okay. Well, it's similar. Criminal Minded, The Adventures of Slick Rick. That's an easy two. I could argue By All Means Necessary, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which is another Boogie Down Productions record. But instead, I'm going to jump to the West and go with No One Can Do It Better by the DOC.
We're going, ooh, ooh. You know what the crazy thing was when I was sitting there thinking about this? I knew, I said, Source is going to put DLC on it. I remember when we were talking about it, I said, he's going, how would I feel before we get out of this thing today? He's going to put DLC somewhere in there. And that album, no one can do it better. And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. To me, that's another one as we talk about that. To me, I don't hit skip, but I don't care. People might not like was it Beautiful and Deadly because it got a rock feature. I play the whole album.
Yeah.
I play it all. And that joint, my joint though is I'm big on lyrics, which we're gonna talk about lines and lyrics in a little while. And I was always a fan of the person who gets disrespected a lot. And I guess we're gonna do a West Coast show here soon. But MC Ren. People, because I saw a comment on one of somebody I follow on Twitter, and the folks was disrespecting MC Ren hard. There's some people that came towards this defense. I'm like, man, y'all ain't let y'all do Ren like that. Because I guess I was always attracted to his rhyme style because he would float. Right. Then of course we know that just like Ice Cube when he was there, Ren wrote some of the stuff. But Ren on the grand finale to me is crazy. I know Easy come with that. If a car I do a walk by that line right there, I said Easy ain't right there. It's hard though. But when Ren coming out with that, when I entered the party, people on themselves, he said maybe what because I'm Ren and when I enter the party they do it again, whatever. The whole joint is crazy. So, but that whole album is fire. So dope list, man, dope list.
Thank you.
My one joint, of course, that I was thinking that you might put on it, but it's hard for me because I listen to it a heck of a lot to this day. It's definitely still was paid in full. Paid in full, Eric B and Rakim.
That makes sense.
It's like not if that's one of them things. It feels like you feel bad that you just not putting it on the list.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like
that's fair.
I'm ashamed of myself, bro.
That's fair.
So it gets a lot of love, man.
No doubt. Can't knock that. Salute Eric B and Rakim. Rakim was they were at Rock the Bells last night.
Yeah. Shout out to Rock the Bells, man. I've been trying to catch up. So I've seen a few things some of the people have posted, but I haven't dove into it to see if I can catch any videos of it. But shout out to them, man, for doing what they do, and the amount of acts that they had on there is crazy.
Right.
What about the 90s? So for the 90s, it'll be the obvious. I started to hit you back and be like, Source, let's do this without including some of the obvious albums and see what you come up with. But I didn't. So the obvious, of course, within conversation with a lot of 90s heads would have been, as well as would have been mine, would be Illmatic, Only Built for Cuban Links, and the Infamous would definitely.
Oh, that's tough.
For a lot of heads. So I would go that, but I'm going to take a quick spin differently because to me, those are obvious. Now, one of the next one to me is obvious too, would be the Chronic, right? But we're going to go to 90s though. I'm just going to hit you with the Chronic, Southern Playalistic. I know, folks, it's not ATLians and all that, which are all dope. And I'm going to go The Diary for me by Scarface. That's just me.
It's very nice.
That's just me.
Yeah, that Scarface.
Yes.
Outkast.
Yes.
First. And of course. Wait, what was the first one of your second listing?
You mean when I went with the obvious stuff?
Without the obvious ones?
Yeah, I went with Cuban Links.
Cuban Links, right.
Yeah. It's tough. That is tough, man.
90s is tough all the way through. Cause you could do 20 albums and still be good. I could go way off the board with something like Muddy Waters and still be great with it. But for those who know, they know that my first two are Midnight Marauders and Low End Theory. Like that's just what it is.
I already knew.
So some people don't know, but you've mentioned my next two actually, because my third one would be The Chronic. But if I threw one more in, it would probably be Only Built for Cuban Links. And if I had to pick one that you did not say and I have not said, it would be Ready to Die.
Let me tell you the thing with Big was funny with me. As much as I love Big, I love Big. And Ready to Die was one of those albums. Just like when we were talking about, you and I had a conversation one time. I was talking about the first time I listened to Illmatic. I'd gotten it and I was on the bus.
Mm.
I had the earphones. I came across a couple of albums for the first time riding the bus.
You was on a bus like Tyrese. Always Coca-Cola.
I can't
Oh.
sing though. I like Coke, but I like Coca-Cola, but I can't sing.
Fair. That's fair.
But the same with that album. It's just like when I heard Ready to Die, instantly I'm like, God, wait, this is dope. This different. This the dude I was partying, the partying. Yeah, so when I heard it, okay, So, but when I get to naming my top 5 or 6, 7 albums that I love of the 90s, I feel that's another one I feel bad about because I don't put it in there. But I feel like I have to, I need to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just hard, man. The joint is just hard. It's just hard. One of the most classic albums ever.
Well, just for entertainment purposes, I'm throwing in Common's Resurrection and Goody Mob's Soul Food.
And I was kind of expecting when I was thinking about this last night. I said, "Someone might put Soul Food."
Yeah, it's definitely in the mix. Definitely in the mix. Great album.
I don't even know if I should tell this story, so I ain't gonna tell it. I'm just gonna say it real quick. Now, if you see a frying pan come flying in here, just know that I just took a risk.
Okay. All right.
And I need to ask you. Every time I think about that album, a Goody Mob. I used to date a young lady, and let's just say her go-to in the mood song was Cell Therapy. Believe it or not, we ain't talking no Keith Sweat. We ain't talking no R. Kelly in Public Announcement. Cause that's what. Yeah, go figure, bro. Yeah, go figure.
What?
Not wife ended up with now. That was just somebody back in the day. But yeah, it was Cell Therapy, bro. You go figure. Everybody had their own little. To this day, we talking 20, 30 years. I don't know how many years ago, but this and that. And to this day, I'm still baffled by that. But that's what it was.
It's 30 years, Prime. 1995.
Who's that looking at me? Yeah, it was because I was living in Southside then. So yeah. Who's that looking in my window? Just imagine chilling in that song. Yeah. On repeat.
I am so disturbed. I'm disturbed.
I am too. I just can't think of Goody Mob without thinking about that. No matter what Goody Mob does, I just cannot. That's crazy to me.
I went crazy at the time. To you.
Well, I'm not gonna let small things get in the way, bro.
Of course.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
We get to the 2000s, man. We get to the 2000s. A lot of good hip hop went down in the 2000s. Some people, a lot of hip hop heads, a lot of hip hop historians, a lot of guys that I follow a lot are not as big on the 2000s. He's stuck in that 90s for real, and understandably so. But 2000s presented some good stuff, bro. Like presented some good stuff. So off rip, and it was hard with a couple of these, but off rip, I went, of course, Get Rich or Die Trying. Got to get 50 respect on that. Supreme Clientele. And I wrestled with this last one, but I could not put it on, not go ahead and not put it on the list because I'm one of those guys that admitted that even in that time period, he's never been one of my favorite artists, but I understand and recognize greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be Jay-Z and the Blueprint.
Wow,
Blueprint.
that's not what I thought people say.
Nah, I got a couple of joints in the holster that I listen to a ton too, but it's just I've always been funny talking about Jay-Z because I would be admitted to tell you when everybody was all crazy about Jay-Z was this and Jay-Z was that, and we do understand the hold that he had on music and arguably the greatest to ever do it. I liked and respected everything. I knew it was gonna bang, but I was never like crazy in love to tell you, oh, that's my guy. Play all his music though, you know what I'm saying? But the blueprint was something different. So those are the three I would go with off top.
Dang. Whew, off top. I mean, Get Rich or Die Trying is automatic. I'm gonna go College Dropout
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. Go ahead.
and
That's tough.
I, if you didn't say Blueprint, I might say Blueprint, but I'm gonna try to get something different. I mean, at this point, it's really Blue in Exile Below the Heavens. That's what it
Woo,
is.
woo, okay.
That that's but I mean it's a few. Like you could stay with Kanye to Late
Mm-hmm.
Registration, graduation. But I don't know what year that was. I don't know what year that
I
was.
forgot
But it
the
was
year.
before.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, definitely Get Rich or Die Trying though. That's a lot.
I think college dropout would probably be the one in that mix that maybe I would challenge for me personally the blueprint with, but I can't take the blueprint out of that. I guess I'm just fighting through my feelings because I'm mad. First, I don't like Kanye no more,
Yeah.
and it's hard for me to separate it. And I know I should be able to. The greatness, like when he first came out,
Hmm.
I tell this all the time. When I first heard like Jesus Walks and all that in the barber chair. Shout out to my guy Sean. He used to do the mixtapes and College Dropout. I mean, his first 2, 3 albums, especially for me, were crazy. College Dropout is pure genius. Like it's, we talk about that hunger that certain times you get to a certain point when you just in that
Hmm.
zone, and years later you try to go back and repeat what you did, no matter how hard you tried, you can't. But even though the next couple of albums after that for me was still pretty darn good, but that College Dropout was different though, and it's one of those ones is great source, but if you don't listen to it for a while and you decide to throw it back on,
Mm.
you realize you're doing it a disservice by just saying it was a great
Yeah.
album because it's more than that. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, I got to definitely agree with you on that. I fought hard not to put that in my top three, but after not listening to it for a while, even though knowing it was great, when I finally got back to listening to it one day, I think I was driving back from Fredericksburg, and I just threw it on, and then I haven't been able to stop listening to it again since, and it's been a minute. That's pure genius, man. Pure genius. If I had to throw one out there though, that I find myself listening to a lot, would probably be the Minstrel Show.
Good one. Good one.
Yeah,
Good one.
I find myself listening to that album a lot. Um, I was listening to their music, of course, even before they did the documentary a couple of weeks ago, but a couple of years ago. It's been about 2 years now, or was it a year? Whatever it was. But then after I watched the documentary,
Hmm.
it went from me playing them to playing them a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Again. So, but the Minstrel
Yeah.
Show got to be up there for me. Not top three, but it's got to be in my top 5 or 6.
That's fair. That's fair. Salute, little brother.
Um,
I,
Shout out
I
to
should
the
have.
kid.
Yeah,
Who's that?
I should have said grown folks. Child's Play should be my number
Ah,
one. That should be my number. That should be my number one. But I'm not. I'm not selfish. So
Oh, you know I deal with my page, so I must want freestyle. Pick a you got an artist for us today you want to talk about?
Yeah, not really. But yeah, we can. I want to go. Wait, who? I wish I could remember who I went with last time.
Last time, who did you go with last time?
I don't know. I don't know.
As soon as we get off, I'll be like, oh darn, he did. That's who we did.
Yep. I hope it's not the same group or artist. I'm gonna go with Common Resurrection.
Okay.
I don't think I talked about Common Resurrection.
I don't think so. I don't remember.
So that album, overall, I would say that album changed the trajectory of my thinking when it comes to just being myself, I guess, to a point, and doing music. Realizing how common this ain't even about the single. This ain't about I used to love her, nothing like that. It's the whole album from start to finish, and realizing how 6 months after the album had dropped, I'd be like washing the car or whatever, and Common be playing. I'm like, did he just said blah blah blah? Did he mean this or did he mean this? And things having dual meanings, or just not even having dual meaning, just being slick with it as far as word usage, and that had me thinking. But when I was listening, just I didn't know what he meant. I was like, wow, that's crazy. I've been listening to his joint every day for 6 months, and I'm just hearing this line and realizing that I don't know what he meant by that, and that intrigued me. So,
Wow.
um, if I had to pick a favorite song, Orange Pineapple Juice might be it for real, or the obvious. I used to love her.
Mm.
The Communism remix though, the Extra P remix was crazy. Um, it's just a great album. It's just a great album. And Communism was my joint as well. Chicka
It is.
chicka 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 my own
That's dope.
ish.
Um, that's dope. That's dope. I don't even know what I did with my notes, and I don't even care. So, and I don't even remember who I picked. But we gonna I can got something off dome because they've been in my just my mind, spirit lately. So if you know, you already know. I remember you did a set one time. And I was crazy. I was in my office going crazy when you was playing the joint. It might have been last year, but you know how much I love the boot camp clip.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that really knows me, that as far as that whole, the whole conglomerate, um, Helter Skelter is my favorite entire boot camp clip. But they don't hold my favorite album.
Mm.
My favorite album out of everything anybody out of the boot camp clip has done is The Shining.
Wow.
Yeah, it's The Shining. So shout out to Smith and Wesson.
Yeah.
Um,
30 years.
and it's funny. I guess I hear it now because we were another one of those when years ago, back in the 90s and all that, when I was it was in between cars. Well, I know I went a long stretch where my car was down. So a lot of times, if anything that happened inside the city, I was on the bus. There's another one I can tell you going to and from work. It's another one that used to be in my headphones was The Shining.
Mm.
The album is crazy to me because the one thing, any album when it comes out, when they set the table from the jump and the first song is a banger,
Mm-hmm.
or at least sets the mood for what the album's going to be like. I think Tim's and Hoodcheck does both. Great intro for me. I'm not gonna say it's one of the greatest intros in the history of rap. I'm not saying that, but for what this album is, that the cutting and scratch, Smith and Wesson, it's just dope to me. And the flow of the album, everybody, when before this came out, most people knew it was Bucktown. They had the Bucktown video, and but they're gonna come back and hit you with bangers on it. Let's get it on later on, and then there was a remix for that. And you know, Stand Strong was circling around on a lot of mixtapes, and I think there's another version of that that sounded a little bit different than the one they actually put on the album. Recognize, like the album to me is just fire from beginning to end, and the mood that it puts me in when I listen to it it's crazy. It's chill. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's not one of those albums that when it comes on, it does a lot of switching up. The mood for this album, no matter what they're talking about, is almost even kill. Like it's not going to take you a whole lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to talk about life on the streets. It's going to talk about standing strong. It's going to be talking about get off of people's nuts. And it's crazy, but they're not my favorite group, even though I love Smith and Wesson. But they have my favorite album out of the whole boot camp clip, and that's saying a lot because I still got a lot of love for Buck and them too, though. Over and end of the stage, if we want to talk about that whole crew, I got a lot of love for that one. I think people recognize that as a good album, and we always talk about it, but I never thought it got the love that deserves either.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
My favorite joint off of it is Soundboy Burial.
Oh yes. Oh, bye, the body boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. I know what I'll be playing later on today. Again, that's that. I just love that album, man.
Yeah, no doubt. That album's great.
Wipe your mouth. Man, that whole that joint is crazy. So shout out,
PNC.
yeah. Shout out to Smith and Wesson, man.
Yes,
Shout
sir.
out to them guys. I really don't have another. I had another artist, but I'm gonna hold on to that because
Okay.
a couple things I just thought about. So I'll hold that to the next show. We ain't got but like 30 minutes anyway, so 25 minutes. So I say unless you got another artist you want to present, an album you want to present, I just say the last thing we jumped to some lyrics. Oh, my bad. I do want to give a shout out. We were talking about the 2000s, and this came up again at my job for one of the youngins. I mean, kid is only like 26 years old. So I forget anyway, but we were talking, and I guess him and his homies were talking about Nelly. I want to give Nelly a shout out because no matter what he got going on back, first of all, you got back with a shot. That's enough, bro. I mean, yes, sir.
That's a win. Winner.
Congratulations to them. But they out there doing it again. They got the reality show. They funny together to me. Just the clips alone are funny. And all they've been on everybody's podcast or show here lately. I mean, they've been doing a little tour with them. They are mad funny, and they together. But I want to give a shout out to him. And in the 2000s, a lot of hip hop heads will never put Country Grammar or Nellyville on their top joints, but the numbers they did was crazy. When we talk about black music, yeah. Like, show me the numbers are ridiculous. I don't care what you feel about how it sounds, word pronunciation, the lyrics. If you was on that St. Louis or whatever, you can't deny, And if it wasn't enough for you when they did, who was it last year? They did was the BET. Whoever did the tribute to Nelly last year, and you sit there and let him rattle off the hits that he had. You got to admit, he didn't just have hits. He had certified bangers.
Yeah, he did.
Certified bangers over the course of several albums. So I just wanted to show Mr. Calvin Haynes.
Calvin Haynes.
Some love.
Cornell Haynes.
Cornell Haynes. Yeah, Cornell Haynes. Some love.
Yeah, Nelly. Yeah, no doubt. I just saw him. I watched the interview with Fat Joe and Jada. That was fun. It was funny. I don't like. I mean, I generally don't really love Fat Joe.
Yeah, you ain't really been no Fat Joe dude.
But the show is not bad. Like,
I can like it a little bit more. Now, I never disliked it, but I knew what I was going to expect going in. Like, but I'll be first to admit that I am enjoying it a little bit more than I thought I would.
The key for me is the fact that, like, just comparing it to Cam and Mace are trying to talk sports and they mix in a little bit of hip hop. Joe and Jada will talk about whatever, but they talk about hip hop a lot. I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
And whether they have guests or not, I think that is the thing that puts them uh higher for me. Just as
Yeah.
a show right now. Of course, Cam and Mate's been doing it for much longer than Joe and Jada.
Yep.
But as far as if I had to pick one or the other to watch in a moment, and I'm not looking for sports comment, well, I'm not. I'm never
Yeah.
going. I'm never looking for sports commentary from Cam and Mace. But if I'm not looking for them to talk sports or it's not football season, something like that, I'm gonna watch Joe and Jada because they're talking about hip hop. And if Cam and Mace could easily do this, and I feel like for them, I feel like they're like worst case. We can always just fall back to hip hop, and we'll be just as entertaining. Like if the sports thing went bad, we could talk hip hop
Yep.
stories and go crazy. And I think they would go crazy if they did. But Joe and Jada are actually doing it, talking hip hop with hip hop guests, and they're in hip hop still. So I think that's cool for them. But what I was gonna say is Nelly told the story about uh being at the awards and during the beef, and 50 was
Yeah.
behind her. Yeah. 50 50 confirmed the whole story. He said, uh he said something like great story, no cap. He said no cap. And the video was not just Nelly's part, it was Nelly and Fat Joe. Fat Joe talking about I've had 20 conversations with 50 about the 20. 50 said no cap. So I was like, that is funny. Because, people tell a story. I mean, you have to hear the story. I'm not going to tell you all the story, but you have to hear the story in order to understand. But you start thinking, this could be true. And maybe they're just dragging this part. But if the other person actually confirms the story, it makes it that much more believable and real. And it makes it that much funnier, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to them, man. I also want to give a shout out though, since you brought up Cam. Give a shout out to Cam though. No matter what they got going on or what they do or whatever. Did you see he just struck that book deal? Cam getting paid, bro.
Oh, yeah, Cam getting his money. No
Yeah,
doubt about that.
so he just landed a $750,000 book deal for a memoir of hip hop of his hip hop journey and the
Oh, that's
cultural
going to be
impact on
That's gonna be
750,000.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's gonna
yeah,
be ridiculous. And shout out to Cam for sharing that my video that I was talking about earlier in his story or on his page or whatever.
word.
Yeah, somebody was like, Cam shared your. I was like, I had no idea. I don't follow Cam. But then I went and looked. I was like, yo, that's dope. So shout out to him and Sticky Fingers as well. So
I also want to give a shout out to real quick to BT a couple of weeks ago.
yeah,
I know most of us we talk about we don't watch the award shows and when I don't. I've gotten to the point, at very worst, I'll be watching something else and I may pull it up on a tablet, just don't turn the music up. And then
right,
if somebody comes on that I want to hear or I'm curious about, then I might take a peek. But I haven't been a fan of music shows for years, and most people haven't.
right,
I went into a couple of weeks ago when the BT Awards was on with the intention of not watching it. To be honest with you, I want to you know promote and support blackness, but I was like they're gonna have a bunch of folks I don't want to see, and I do know they are giving this award out, so I keep an eye out for this for Snoop.
right.
But the beginning of that show with the shout out to 106 in Park,
Yeah, that
love.
was
And it was so dope that I ended up watching the whole show instead of just waiting to peek to see when Snoop was getting his award and shout out Mariah Carey. And they actually did a pretty good job all together. But that shout out, that love they showed 106 in Park was good, man. It was
yeah.
they set it up and did a really good job with that, man. So I definitely wanted to shout them out.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people share the same sentiment about not watching the shows, and I don't lock in on the shows as much as I used to. I'll still watch most of them, but I'm not like excited about them or looking forward to them. Like, yo, blah 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 is coming up, you know. But I saw a bunch of people that was like, I only watching board shows. This was great. The way they did this, blah blah blah. So it was dope. And they had Free come out there. That just made
Yeah,
the whole show right there. Like they could have ended the
yeah,
joint right there. But that was dope. So salute to them for a good show.
no doubt. All right, these last few minutes, man, of this show, we're gonna talk some more hip hop on the next one. But on this show, black music, like when it comes to hip hop. Now I know you and I talked about the different journeys that we had. I think you probably took this a little bit further than I did because my mind was all over the place when I was young about what I was really gonna do, with my life, and I just thought sure there was a time period, especially when I got to college, and I thought I was legitly going to get into the music business.
Right.
And but what I want to talk about is what was it that made you love, like what did you look for in music when you first picked up a hip hop album? What was the thing that grabbed you the most? It was something particular you
Oh,
were for, or it's just the love of the music, or what was it?
it was different because most of my
Yeah,
childhood, I, it was all gospel music. I know
yeah.
people say this sometimes. They be like, "Oh, we only play gospel in my house." No, no, y'all didn't. Y'all played songs. Your mom listened to something else. It was all gospel music. It made me mad when people say it because I'm like, dog, y'all not telling the truth. Y'all are not. I know all gospel music. The only thing that my mom had that was not gospel was a Johnny Mathis Christmas album. That's it. That's it. She used to watch PTL with Jim and Tammy Baker.
Got about PTL, yeah.
She used to watch Pat Robinson, WV Grant come on at night. She watch him, you know, praying Jimmy Swack. This was my life. This was my
Right.
life. So um there wasn't any hip hop in it until different things would happen. Like
Yeah.
you'd hear something somewhere else, or I might be at home by myself and sneak down to what was it, WKIE, and
Yep.
listen to something. But still, I didn't know what was going on because I didn't know. I would just hear things. I remember, quick story. I remember being at, shout out to Dr. Mike Peden. Dr. Mike Peden, he played basketball at Meadowbrook, and he played in college. I can't remember where he played in college, but he's a doctor now. He got a doctorate and all that good stuff. He's a college guy. Does a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things.
I ain't heard that
Mike
name in a
Peden,
minute. Yeah.
huh?
I ain't heard that name in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was on my. We were on the same team. He was on my team. We were on the same team in middle school, even though he's a year, maybe 2 years behind. Was he a freshman? He might have been in sixth grade. He might have been in sixth grade, and I was in eighth grade. But Mike Torrance, Dr. Mike Torrance, dang, I missed out on the doctor part. Dr. Mike Torrance, Mike Peden, and I are at Mike Peden's house in his room, and he plays music. And I'm like listening to it. And he must have been looking at me because I was like, man, I've heard this before. And he said to me, "You don't even know who this is, do you?" And I didn't know who it was. And I was like, "It sounds familiar. I can't think of who it is." You know who it was? You can be mad. Tell them who it was, Brian.
It was. I'm trying to remember now.
I'm saying if you gonna be mad, then it's got to be
Yeah. It was who was it? It was
it's your favorite group.
Red DMC.
Yes, and I was in eighth grade. I was in eighth
Yeah.
grade
Yeah.
and did not know. So I remember that moment as being a moment like, dang, that's sad. That's sad. It was sad. A sad moment when I think back on it. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know if it. I mean, I don't think that moment is the thing that made me love hip hop at
Right.
all. But it's just a memorable moment from that time. Um, I remember going to that show, the joint that we talk about, the one with the six groups. It was Rakim, Eric
Yeah.
B. and Rakim. Rakim came up from the floor,
Yep.
and I forgot who else was at that joint. But that joint was crazy. And that was my second show. My first show was Run DMC, and obviously, I mean, ironically, my first show was Run DMC, Beastie Boys, Davey D.
Oh man, I
Af-
remember that like it was yesterday.
yeah, after saying what I just said about not knowing who it was, that's my first show I went to because my mom let me go. Shout out to Monty Hines. I ain't seen Monty Hines in 40 years. Shout out to Monty Hines because he came from out of town. He used to live in the neighborhood. And he asked my mom, and he just kept asking her. He was like, "Please let him go to the show with us." And she let me go, and that was the first show I went to. And I guess it's been up ever since, for real. The thing, last thing, the thing is my philosophy. That's the thing that put me over the top. That particular song, but yeah, it was just, I guess, being part of the thing that was happening that I was missing out on.
Yeah, me, I'm not getting to all like how we talked about it before, but I was a person that I always looked for just period was lyrics.
Yeah.
Me, you know, I guess I was dope back in the 80s. That's what they tell me. Like people all the time, man, you should do this and that, man. But I ain't gonna lie, I was. So I'm gonna say I was.
Yeah, that's more
It might
like
have been only Chester or Chesterfield, but I was one of the dopest back then. The people still tell me. But
that's more
I can
like
admit that part. People tell you, I guess it's okay. All
yeah.
right, so, but anyway, my thing was lyrics, right? And so what I look for when I not only when I wrote, but when I bought albums, was the thing that caught me all the time was lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I don't care all the time how dope the beat was and all that. The dude, if you could spit, you had my attention. Or you might sound regular the whole album. You might have one quick line or a entire verse or whatever. And I'm just like, that is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So you already know the story about when I first heard poetry, that's it, that's all solo single more no less. I'm like, that's crazy. But there's some other things, man, like something small, like one little line that might have went over some people's heads, and it might not even be dope to everybody else, but the quick word play and just what was said or using two words that sounded like Chuck D, not known as a lyrical player. He gonna spit, but he's not. It's pretty basic.
Right.
But me thinking about this, remember, yesterday was the 37th anniversary of the Takes a Nation Millions to Hold Us Back.
Mm-hmm.
On Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos,
A joint.
one of my favorite things. Oh, it's just simple. He says, "I'm on a tier where no tears should ever fall," and some people like, "Eh?" He's on a tier. If you know anything about prison, and prison tears.
Yeah.
And if you remember the video, and then what he's trying to say, I'm on a tier where no tears should ever fall. And I'm sitting there like, that in itself, to me, that little bit is dope. You know what I'm saying? Especially for somebody we're not talking like he rock him. Not caring. To me, that just the smallest thing was just one of the dopest things ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got anything like that?
Man, I just
We're
play that
gonna
joint.
we're gonna continue a lot of this on the next show, but I had to get a couple of these in there.
I just played that joint a little while ago. Well, I was on live before the podcast. Oh man, I don't probably everybody thought it was dope, but just when Kane was like, brain cells are lit, ideas start to hit. Next, the formation of words that fit. At the table, I sit, making it legit. And when my pen hits the paper, oh, that I was like, what is happening? What is going on right now? That was crazy. That was crazy.
I tell you something else to stay in the same vein than that time period. I'm gonna give you a couple of them, but I'm gonna give you this one because that's Kane was Kane, man. There's a couple other ones too that I'm just like, golly. But of course, the obvious, Rakim.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I love this verse so much because I can picture it today, like visually in my head. Like this could be an actual animated or a cartoon if somebody wanted to do it, right? Just this line alone. Think about this. Not what he's saying. Visualize this happening.
Mm-hmm.
Rakim says, I start to think and then I sink into the paper like I was ink. When I'm writing, I'm trapped in between the lines. I escape when I finish the rhyme. So picture that like on one of them Saturday morning, like, School of Rock cartoons or something.
Yeah, right.
And you picture him and he's then jumping out of the paper. Like I'm trapped in between the lines.
Stuck.
I escape when I finish the rhyme. So you can see him finishing and he jumps. I'm sitting there like,
What about
that was the 80s, bro.
sink into the paper? and you're writing with your pen, and the pen sinks into the paper when you're writing. Yeah.
And
Yep.
of course, I give you another one. I know y'all tired of me saying it, but it was funny. I was talking to Nicole this morning. That young got me emotional. Man, they'd be like, "What's wrong with this dude getting emotional over music?" But
Never.
I
I would never
always,
say that. I would never
you know, I
say
was
that.
talking. No, I'm telling you, I had to take my headphones out. I said, "Listen to this. Listen to this. This don't make no sense. This was 1988, and you talk about genius." Like people being ahead of their time. You hear me talk about people being ahead of their time all the time. Like I down the hill at when I talk about music and when I talk about like Mantronics or whatever, wasn't
Mhm.
everybody's cup of tea, but he was ahead of his time.
Right.
Um, Rakim, again, and you already know one of my favorite songs ever is Lyrics of Fury, right? And the two is two different. It's on the same verse, but when he says, "I'm gonna tear you apart, but I'm gonna spare you a heart," and he says, I'm programming into the speed of the, I'm going to program into the speed of the rhyme and hit start. And then he goes on after, you think about it, he's taking your heart out, hooking it up, programming your heart to the speed of the rhyme. And he goes in there and starts talking about open heart surgery. I'm saying this is 1988, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Then, of course, you already know Mike to mouth resuscitation, rhythm with radiation. Novocaine ease the pain. It might save him. If not, Eric B's the judge. The crowd's the jury. How do I plead the homicide? Lyrics of fury. Bruh, that joint got me emotional, bro. Think about this. I cannot listen to that joint. That joint gets to me every time because I'm sitting there thinking, this is pure genius. And we're talking about a dude, this is back in 88. Like, this is crazy. I
Yeah.
mean,
He was.
I won't lie to you. I listen to that joint if I'm feeling music. That joint can be emotional, man. That joint is crazy.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. That's real. Cause yeah, music does that, man. Music is
yeah,
everything. And then that people don't appreciate, like they can be like, yo, that was dope. But
mhm.
then a lot of times they don't appreciate the words that the MCs say and the meaning behind them, which is why a lot of people appreciated the Kendrick and Drake because everybody was paying attention and then picking apart the lines. I was like, dog, if they do this, I got some bars for you. If you want to do this finally after all these years, y'all finally want to dig in and go through the lyrics. Like, yeah, I got some bars for you from me and from other people
Right.
that y'all could dig into. But yeah, that's why I definitely appreciated the battle and the way people were locked in with that joint and then dissecting the verses. I was like, all right, we getting somewhere.
Yeah, man. That's man. It is though. So there's a lot of stuff that go on. I think the only other obvious one for me, of course, is of course, Nas. Another sleep with his cousin of death.
That's your
That's
joint.
just it's just genius. That's my
It
joint, man. That's
is.
been on my
It
Facebook
is.
profile forever. Like that joint is crazy. Um, yeah. So next show, man, we're gonna dive deep into that. I mean, we can go on for a minute, but it's just like some of the ones that just come to me like instantly. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of them I have memories about. But like that right there. But yeah, man. So anybody that watches this, I know you know the genius of Rakim. I'm trying to tell you, we can talk on all the crazy hits that they had. But if you are truly into lyricism and genius and putting words together, lyrics of fury, man. Oh my
Mm.
goodness. The whole song is crazy. But that last that's just crazy. I wonder what Eric B was thinking when he was sitting there and they was like, bro, he said, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like I say, there's been accounts where people will say that when he ran through that song, they said he did the joint in the take.
Mm.
And if you think about the song and the pace of that song and what he actually said, that is crazy. I don't care if he didn't do it in more than one take. The joint is crazy. But if it's true, ridiculous, man, ridiculous.
Lyrics of fury.
Yeah. So we already know next show we coming back. We going heavy. We got a little while. We got to wait till football season. We going heavy with music. There's gonna be some heavy lyric talking
Yeah, I like
on,
that.
on, on the next show. The lead at. So I'm telling y'all ahead of time. So you got anything else for the people?
Chime in Wednesday. Uh, beats. Okay, beats safe for Wednesday this week. Should be guest Tracy Lee. Um, will make. I'm gonna text him right after this before I run out of here to make sure we locked in for Wednesday. Then Friday, which is the 4th of July. So I'm doing an anti 4th of July uh live. But it's really not. It really is anti, but it's really not because it's gonna be unmelanated jam. So it's all white people music. It's all white people music
Okay,
from all times. We're going. I like to go back in the '80s and '90s with the joints
for
because
sure.
we were MTV people, so we know all these joints.
That's my
So
era.
that's what we're
Yeah.
doing on Friday, and then I think that's enough for now.
Well, let me ask you this real quick before we get out of here. So when you hit this joint on Friday,
Uh-huh.
um, is it gonna be in a particular theme or just unmelanated period?
Oh, it's unmelanated jams, but I'm there's no theme. I'm
Oh,
not doing songs that it's not gonna be songs that white people love. It's gonna be songs by white people that are bops that I like.
you ever play? Hey, you ever play? What is it? All that she is it? Everything she wants or all that she wants. Jump by George Michael.
Everything she wa-
That's
ever,
my
ever
joint.
wait, every little thing she wants
Somebody,
is magic? No.
somebody tell me why I work so hard for you.
I was just singing. Dog,
Somebody.
I was just singing that joint the other day. As a,
That's my joint. I just was wondering because
I work so hard for you.
hey, Nicole would tell you I love it. Look, if I'm in the car or something, if that was to come on or something, I lose. That's my joint, man. That's one of them joints I didn't hear for a while,
Right.
even though I played a lot of unmelanated music. But I didn't hear that for a while, and then one day I heard it, and I was like, "How have I not been listening to this? That was my joint back in the day."
That's how I
You know what I'm
felt.
saying?
That's how I felt when I heard not too long ago I heard every time you go away.
Take
I was
me with
like,
you. Yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah. I forgot that song existed. I was like, this joint was fire.
yeah. Y'all make sure y'all tune into my guy. Get your unmelanated playlist too. So.
It's gonna be
Um,
fire. I'm telling you, it's gonna be
I'm gonna
fire.
be like, I'm gonna go back to the A's. I'm gonna be a biter. I'm gonna change the name of my playlist um on my iTunes, man.
Yeah.
But unmelanated. See, you got it. I've had the joint for years, and I add a song or two here and there that's got mostly like 80s and 90s unmelanated stuff on it. So you'll maybe change the name on my joint now just
Yeah.
because that's the joint.
Do it. Do it.
No doubt. No doubt. We're going to catch y'all on the next one. Appreciate y'all for checking us out for some WNBA talk as well. A salute to Black music. But it's going to be more music coming. Don't even worry about that. We're going heavy on the next show. So we're going to let you know when that's in. But till the next time, we your boys.
Yeah.
We up out of here.
And